This month's episode of the Bee Hive pod. I'm back here with my buddy Trent Dixon. We're talking about prospects again. It's been a fun month for some prospects, namely, a Michael Harris has been pretty awesome. We'll go over that a little bit later. There's been a couple other things like Drew Waters. He hasn't really played a ton, but short playing time has been pretty good. So we'll jump into all that and stuff as well. But how are you?
I'm doing great. Doing fine. Braves won last night, of course.
Yeah, that was a fun game. Yeah,
hoping that's the maybe that's the moment we look back on.
Maybe
that someone like this hot run.
Yeah, it's been. I don't know. There's been moments where we thought, okay, this is it. We're gonna start rolling now, and then it doesn't work out that way.
Kind of like last year. So
yeah, except this year the Mets are actually really good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things. But
yeah.
I mean, I guess we could start with Augusta. We went over a few things there. What do you have there?
The big name to look with there. There's only like 3 or 4 prospects there. The big one is AJ Smith-Shawver.
Yep, I wrote down some stuff on Smith-Shawver as well.
He coming in last night, I looked him up. He had a 4.5 ERA, but it's a 3.24 WHIP or FIP, 3.64 xFIP and a 1.5 WHIP. Striking out 38% of the guys. The big issue is a 15.7% walk rate. However, I looked into it a little more. The 4.5 ERA, it's not as bad as it looks. It was like one kind of semi-bad start, and he hasn't pitched a ton, so it's kind of inflated. His last start, though, best start of his career professionally, 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts in 5 innings.
He's striking out a ton of guys down there. 15.38 K per 9.
Yeah.
Yes, it's, it is low A, but those are professional ball players as well.
Yeah.
So,
and this first year in professional ball, he probably stays all year in Augusta, or at least through the, at least in the minors league all-star break. So
you would think so. He's also got a high batted, or batting average on balls in play. Sorry. It's 367 batting average on balls in play. So that inflates that ERA a little bit. That's why the FIP looks lower. You said 3.24. I've got 3.2. So it's
it might be. It might have adjusted.
I just went with what Fangraphs had, and I did notice that Fangraphs looked to be a little bit late on some of the stats from yesterday and stuff.
So I got mine late last night, so it might have might have some adjustments.
Well, it might have been a little bit too early for me to be looking at it. But we already saw. There was one point at which Alex Anthopoulos was at a game down there, and supposedly as soon as Smith-Shawver came out of the game, he got up and left. So, clearly they're looking at Smith-Shawver as a big guy.
Yeah, he was voted, like I think we said in the last episode, it was in an MLB.com piece. They said out of the best, the young pitching prospects, so the guys that are just coming into the system, they think he has the most talent. And there's a reason why his fastball probably might end up being the best in the minors here soon. So
yeah, he's got a big arm, that's for sure. I think another one that if he can put it together, if he can find a nice solid second pitch, he'll be fun.
That's the case with a lot of young pitchers. They can rely on that big fastball in high school and the early levels, but once you get up there, you got to get that second, third pitch.
Right.
It's going to be the key for him.
Yep. Another guy I wrote something down on was Landon Stevens, because honestly, it's pretty impressive what he's doing so far.
Yes, it is. I have him written somewhere.
Yeah, his OPS is, it's pretty good, 877. I think I didn't write down his average because I'm not big on batting average and stuff. Average is pretty low, but the on base percentage is there. That's what it was. Batting average on balls in play for him is low. So his is 250. And he's got a 134 weighted runs created plus. But 9 homers, 21 runs, 21 RBIs.
I believe he's actually in Rome now.
He is. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I know we're talking about Augusta. I think you might have jumped to Rome.
Oh, okay. I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't write Rome above him.
Yeah.
I separated all the other.
We can talk about that. That's the big thing I wrote down there. He's not a top 30 prospect, or at least ranked wise, but 9 home runs catches your attention, especially in Rome. It is a little bit bigger of a park there. And not a huge park, but
it looks like a beautiful ballpark. Pretty ballpark, yeah.
But it is probably a little bit bigger, depending on who you ask. Probably more of a pitcher's park in general. But 9 home runs, pretty big deal.
Yeah. Well, my bad. I didn't mean to.
No problem.
Jump to the next one. So, okay. Well, then let's. We can talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Then, what else do you have for Augusta?
Out of the top 30 prospects, Cal Conley's got an interesting slash line. It's not great. Batting average is 209. Don't like batting average, but in low A or single A, it can be kind of telling a little. 279 OBP, a 409 slug. So he only has 23 hits on the year. But when you look at the hits, it's 5 home runs, 3 doubles, and 2 triples. So about half of them are extra base hits.
Yeah,
when he's making contact, he's making good contact. And when he gets
productive.
On base, he scores. He has 24 runs and he has 12 RBIs. So he's finding a way on base still. He can play multiple defensive positions. So it is intriguing. And it could just be, I didn't look extremely deep into it. It could just be a little bit of, bad luck. He's not getting like some blue pits, which could affect him a little bit. But he's hitting for power when he does make contact, which is, if you're going to have a low batting average in the minors, if you're hitting for power, it does kind of make up for it.
One thing that stuck out to me there for him was 11 stolen bases.
Yeah, I didn't even write that down, but I remember looking up a high stolen base total.
Yeah, I was like, what? I mean, it's only like 20. What do you have how many games it is? 20, 28, 29 games?
Something like that.
Yeah. So to steal 11 bases in 28, 29 games is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There's some wheels there.
Yeah. And then 2 more guys on the top 30 list. Just going to start with Jared Johnson. He had Tommy John surgery. I think I mentioned that in the last episode, but he's listed on like the sites as being in single A, but he's had Tommy John surgery. He is not going to pitch this year. And Adam Schumacher, 5 innings, he's a 14 ERA, but he's on the injured list. So there's a possibility that has a big reason to do with it. It's hard to really rank him, but he's on the injured list right now. I'm not sure for how long, but just an eye there. And then Mekhi Backstrom is kind of a fringe top 30 guy. He's not playing well. He has a 138, 242, 325 slash, only 1 home run, which is not good. And in our like 91, 92 plate appearances, he struck out about 46 times. So
yeah, I had looked at Mekhi Backstrom, and he didn't look like he was playing very well at all.
And it's sad because I don't know if it's Mekhi or Mekhi, but I do like that.
I think it is Mekhi. I think it is Mekhi.
Yeah, but right. I wish he would get it going, but it's not been a good start so far. A lot of power hasn't shown up. And then one guy that was not on anybody's radars, just going to quickly shout him out, and I'm going to mispronounce this one. Brandal Mesquita, I believe. Mesquita?
I have not even heard of him, yeah.
344, 431, 469, 2 home runs, 20 runs, 18 RBIs, 3 stolen bases. Not on really anybody's radar. It's single A. We kind of talked about it. You can't really trust some complex numbers. Same thing with single A. Some guys, break out in single A, never be heard from again. But if you're hitting that high, it is something to keep an eye on, and he has performed well. So, just a name to keep an eye on. May never become anything, but interesting name at the very least.
Those stats you just threw out are pretty eye-popping. I mean, it's single A, and like you said, I've never heard of that guy. Could you say his name again?
I guess it's not pronounced correctly. If he ends up listening, I'm sorry. Brandol, it's Brandol, Brandol, And then I'm thinking Mesquita, Mezquita. Randall Mesquita. I don't know. I'm butchering it. I'm sorry. I could not find an audio clip of it. But 344, 431, 469, 2 home runs, 20 runs, 18 RBIs, 3 stolen bases. Not really on anyone's radar, but at the very least, when you put up those numbers, you deserve to be recognized somewhat. And it's really good. I don't really know much about him outside of this.
I've not even heard of
called
him,
his name last night. I couldn't even tell you how old he was or where he's from.
And he's playing at Augusta.
Yeah. He was born, so he's about 21, it looks like, from the Dominican Republic. So that's basically all I got. He doesn't even really pop up a ton when you Google his name. I found he does have a Fangraphs page, so he has enough there. But yeah, 156 WRC plus, a 12% walk rate. I mean,
wow. Usually you hear stuff like that if it is a guy like that, lower minor leagues that you've never heard of, like the walk rate's not there, K percentage is up or whatever, and he's just had a couple good weeks.
Yeah, with the walk rate being there, that's really
that's impressive.
Supports it. So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on him to see where he gets to going into the next few weeks, if he maybe even cracks Rome.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
And then before
I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on him.
Yeah, before we jump into Rome, I think one guy I'll mention is because he played really well in Augusta. He's in Rome now, but he's not a top 30 prospect. I think I've told you about him, but Royber Salinas. Tore it up in Augusta with a 1.52 ERA, 1.88 FIP, and maybe most impressively, a 55.9% strikeout rate. At one point, he was leading all of minor league baseball in strikeouts. I'm not sure if he still was, but he had 52 in 23 innings. And he got a call up to Rome and immediately gives up a grand slam, I believe, in his first game. But bounces back to actually finish the game.
That'll hurt the ERA.
Yeah. He actually came back and pitched decently, still the next game out. But just a name to keep an eye on. Another one was not on top 30 list. Not a lot of, maybe a little radars, but because of a big strikeout rate and this year.
That sticks out to you. That's something you'll remember.
Kind of a violent arm action. I've seen videos on him. Not the most athletic looking guy, really. So it's interesting.
Well, we had never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
He's not
Luis Guevara.
Yeah, he's not like out of shape, but it's not like, you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't look like it was. I guess baby fat would be the best.
It's just not the guy you look at and you think, man, that guy's gonna put up an elite.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's got that baby fat to him. Still, it looks like, that baby weight. I guess the best way to call it. But he surprised a lot of people, and if you can strike out 55% of guys, you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's
just to keep an eye on him. Probably a reliever long term, for being honest, if he's going to be anything. But just name.
Yeah, and a lot of these younger lower minors guys, they are relievers probably in the future, most of them. But everybody's got to start somewhere. You never know who's going to end up being the guy who rises to the occasion. So
Now we get to Rome, where we mentioned Landon Stevens already. There's 9 home runs, not a top 30 prospect, but 9 home runs will catch your eye at any level.
So, and he also has an 11.4% walk rate.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I mean, that's where you want to be. Over 10% is pretty good. I mean, you've got plenty of all-stars who don't walk 10% of the time in the major leagues. Now, Rome, high A, it's a little bit different. You're going to see some seriously different pitchers between there and the major leagues, but that's why we have promotions and why we have a progression in the minor leagues, because you got to be able to prove that at each level to be able to get up there.
Very true.
So, Vaughn Grissom,
he's played well. The power hasn't really shown up.
Yeah, that's the one thing I noted.
But has played well. I actually watched him in person a week or two ago.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
294, 395 on base, 392 slug. Usually you don't like to see an on base percentage over slug, but it shows you that he's walking a lot here.
Yeah.
Now it's because he has a 98 ISO, so that's not good. But when your OPP is 100 points higher than your average, that's pretty good as well. So it makes up for it. 2 home runs, 13 runs, 20 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 4 doubles, and he's played pretty decent defense, which is kind of a question of him. When I watched him play, I will say he was about 5 feet from a home run. We thought he got it off the bat, and the outfielder was back to the wall, caught it. And so we thought he had another home run, but looked good there. It's not like, you hear people say Acuna has a different sound on the bat.
Yeah.
So it's not that level, but when you listen to Vaughn Grissom compared to other high A guys, there's a different sound.
It's different. Yeah.
So that is something to keep on. See if the power comes. He's still young too, so he's going to grow into more power. He's not going to be I don't think a huge power guy, but he's going to be a good hitter with decent power. He's just got to get older and roam, as mentioned, probably a little more of a pitcher's park.
Yeah, and power is something that, for the most part, for the majority of guys, is something they develop later in the minor leagues. It's not something like now you've got some guys like I think it was Landon Stevens. I looked at he hit 21 homers last year in low A. That's kind of rare. You don't really have guys hitting a ton of power like that. So Vaughn Grissom has plenty of time to start hitting for more power. Now, would it be nice if he could hit for more doubles, stuff like that? Yeah, but it's
that
also
would be the key.
If you're hitting pretty early,
it's nice to see a guy hit a lot of doubles at that level if he's not gonna hit power, because that you really think, hey, those doubles are gonna turn into
they're gonna translate. Yeah.
So,
well, unless you go to the major leagues where all the balls are dead and you're Matt Olson hitting 20 doubles in the first month and a half.
Yeah, I thought that Orlando Arcia walk-off home run was going to be in the terrace. So
I thought it was too. When he made contact, I was like, oh my God, that's a bomb. And then it barely got out. I was like, how is that even
I thought it
possible?
was in the Hank Aaron terrace when he hit it.
Yeah, I looked at the batted ball metrics on that. And it was like 106 or something like that. And a 24-degree launch angle is like, that ball should be way out. But I don't know. We could talk about that on a pod all day. But yeah, it's just the power will come. Even without the power, he's got a 123 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah.
So all the other tools are there. Let the power develop a little bit more. The one thing that did concern me, and I say that with a just a little bit, not a ton, was that his walk rate is down from where it was last year, and his K rate is up. So again, it's still early. Those
could
things
be adjusting to a new level, different pitchers. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on. And that's the thing with prospects. We can rank them highly, but you never know how they're going to adjust to the next level.
Right.
Prospect ranking should be fluid, and not all prospect growth is linear.
Right. So, and you've got, like you said, adjustments is the biggest thing for prospects. And if Vaughn Grissom can make that adjustment, that'd be great. A guy who is notorious for how great he was at adjusting is Austin Riley. And we've even seen that at the major league level. First couple years, it was like, wow, this dude can't hit. Like he runs into one here and there. And then last year it was like, oh, never mind, he's an MVP. Like, so it's like, okay. Grissom will get there. Power will come. Especially a guy as fast as he is.
Yeah, not worried about him at this point. We'll have to keep an eye on him. If you're hitting for a good average, I know I don't like batting average, but at the lower levels, if you're hitting for a good average, it shows that you got a good feel to hit at least.
Yeah.
At this point, because they're not all going to be shifting. There's not as many, metrics show where to stand as much. So it means just following in. You're putting it in play. I don't care for batting average again.
It's just play. Down there, it's just go out there and play.
Yeah.
It's not,
that shows that he's putting the ball in play a decent bit, which is good. Another few top 30 prospects. Dylan Dodd has struggled. 6.44 ERA.
Yeah, I saw that one.
FIPS over 4. 1.43 whip. He's putting people on base. He's not really striking out a ton of guys. It's not a big strikeout rate. It's like 23.5%. And then a 6% walk rate. So he's not walking a ton of guys, but that tells me he is not missing a ton of bats.
Yeah.
And that could be an issue. And that is something you just keep an eye on for Dylan Dodd. Andrew Hoffman has actually been the opposite. He's been pretty impressive. 3.41 ERA, 3.88 FIP, 3.53 xFIP, 32.5 strikeout rate. He's striking out guys, and a 6.1% walk rate as well. He's missing bats, and that's the difference right there. You see, I get it. Sometimes let weak contact, get outs for you. But if you're missing bats, you don't have to worry about where the defense is behind you. You kind of control your narrative as a pitcher, especially at those lower levels, the minors. Hoffman's missing bats, and that's impressive to look at right now. So,
yeah, if you're missing bats at that level, that's the most important thing, really. And if he's not missing a ton of bats, or I mean, Hoffman, you said he is,
yes.
But Dodd, if he's not missing a ton of bats,
it is worrisome.
Yeah, that's not going to translate that well, especially for top 30 pitching prospect. Really, you want to see. So. Yeah, and that's it's May. It's May, and we keep telling ourselves about the Braves as well.
Same thing with the
prospects. Even more so with prospects and lower level guys. Those things can.
And it's hard to say with sometimes pitching prospects as well, because another thing you'll never see on a stat sheet, and I think sometimes I know I do it as well, is we look at, okay, his ERA is bad, his FIP's bad, he's not missing bats. But sometimes they say, kids, you need a second pitch, you need a third pitch, you're using it tonight. And he goes out there and he throws a changeup that he's never really tried before the year in a game, and it gets hit.
Yeah, and they might use it for a week or so, throwing bullpens, and then they're like, hey, we want to see how this plays in games. Yeah.
And it might get just destroyed for a week before he ever gets a feel for it.
Right.
And that could be an issue. And you got to keep an eye on some things like that. Guys are trying to work on different things, and it might not translate to a stat sheet. You eventually want to see it come down. But if, that's one of those things we'll never be privy to in the organization. Right. So
that's what I was just about to say, actually, is that's why when a prospect struggles, or when even at the major league level, when a pitcher struggles or a player struggles, the team may seem way more content with status quo than we are, because we don't know the conversations that are happening. We don't know, like you said, a new pitch they may be trying out, or, they may be saying, hey, we've been looking at the stats on this, and we think that you'd be better if you did this. So we want to try that out. And then, results don't always come immediately.
It's process over result type thing. Now, it could be he might be struggling. We'll never know. But, I don't want to seem like I'm throwing Dylan Dodd off the top 30 list.
No.
I'd love to see the results, but we don't know, especially at those lower levels. They do work on stuff, especially with pitchers. So,
yeah, that stuff comes. So,
yeah, just a few guys not on top 30 list. A guy I mentioned in the last one I really like that's not on the list, I think could be one day. Justin Henry Malloy is playing well.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned him last time.
281, 390 OBP, 449 slug, 3 home runs, 15 runs, 14 RBIs, good defense at third base. Probably going to have to move off of it eventually. There's also another reason why, if he wants to stay with the Braves, he'd have to move off third base.
Yeah.
So it would benefit him to find new positions, but playing well. Christian Robinson, that is not the Diamondbacks Christian Robinson, who's like a top 100 prospect. This is an unknown Christian Robinson for the Braves. 325, 391, 470, 2 home runs, 15 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. We mentioned Landon Stevens. Some pitchers, some unknown pitchers. Lissandro Santos, 0 runs in 16 innings. Justin Yeager, 0.82 ERA in 11 innings. And then Tanner Gordon, 1.64 ERA in 22 innings. So just a few names.
Wow. Now that sticks out. 1.64 in 22 innings.
Yeah. So, it could just be a couple good outings. I don't want to say they're not starters, because at that level, you see more piggybacks. Some guys throwing multiple innings. So, it could be kind of his extended relief a lot of ways, but some good outings.
Yeah, that's wow. Some good stuff there. So I guess we can jump into AA.
Yeah, before we get to AA, I think we start with the Michael Harris section of the podcast.
That's kind of where I was going with it. Yeah. That's why I was saying, maybe AA is it's
Michael
more
Harris
of the Michael
before
Harris
we get to Mississippi.
Pod. Yeah.
Because the kid's just been incredible. So
you can't say that. There's one thing that concerns me, and meant to look it up, and I'll look it up right now. It's a before anybody freaks out and says, "Oh, blah blah blah." It's yes, it's a small sample size. I am well aware, but against left-handers, he is not great. Now that may have evolved a little bit, but it wasn't good. That's why I'm going to try to look it up and see if I can find it here.
While you're looking it up, the overall numbers for Harris: 303, 356, 516, 4 home runs, 21 runs, 20 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, and a on base streak that's over 20 games in the minor leagues. So he's still playing well. There is some minor concern about lefty on lefty. That's,
Yeah,
that might be typical. So you're going to find those stats for us, but Harris has been playing well.
Well, let's see minor
Oh,
leagues.
I will say, if I'm gonna toss out a silver lining, so you're not the only one, or not a silver lining, but a devil's advocate here, so you're not the only one tossing out a bad thing. Mine's not a stat. We talk about it, guys advancing. Harris is playing well. He's doing what you want him to do. He's playing extremely well. He's facing a lot of the same pitchers he faced last year. They moved up to Double-A as well, so it could be there could be some familiarity there. But when you're hitting the way you are, it doesn't matter, because that's very impressive. Double-A is that section where, what I guess the old cliche is, you separate the boys from the men. Double-A is where you figure out.
It really is.
Yeah, Double-A is where you figure it out. You can play well at the complex, single A, high A. You get the Double-A, it's where you prove your worth. I believe Snickers even said it. Once you get the Double-A, you're an option for the majors.
Yep.
Juan Soto, maybe not a great comparison, because Soto's generational talent, but he came from Double-A to the majors.
Did he come from? I thought it was high A.
He was in Double-A for like very few.
Okay, so it was like a week or two, right?
I think it was very little. He was in Double-A, but when you get the Double-A, you're now an option for the majors, and that's because why you want to get them the Triple-A. Triple-A also sometimes has roster spots kind of clogged up by those quad 4 players.
By the Alex Dickersons
and Preston
and
Tuckers
Ryan Goins. Yeah. There you go.
So sometimes, there's not as many roster spots, because you keep like the John Nagowski, who's there if something, please don't happen to. Olsen.
Worst case
John
scenario.
Nagowski's there in case it does. That sometimes makes it harder to get the AAA.
Yeah. So the one thing that I noticed with Harris, this is another devil's advocate, whatever, was he has a low walk rate. Now, he is also hitting the cover off the ball.
Yeah,
quote unquote.
It is.
So why would you take your walks when you're swinging the bat that well? I understand that as well.
It's the Travis d'Arnaud dilemma here in the majors. Everybody, I was joking about it. He hasn't walked all year, but he was hitting the cover off the ball. And I think it was Jaden, I think, made the comparison on Twitter, saying it's like if you're in basketball and you're feeling it.
Yeah,
you're not going to pass it as much. She said you're not going to pass the ball as much.
Yeah,
and that's a great comparison, because I'm not going to get mad at somebody if they're hitting every shot they take.
Yeah. If you're going up there and you're not struggling, and the ball looks like a beach ball every time you're up there, like, why not swing the bat? that is a great comparison from Jaden. It really is.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah. So another thing there that is awesome that he is doing: 16 extra base hits in 29 games.
Mm-hmm. And that's impressive. When he said 4 home runs, 16 extra base hits in total, it's the same way. Mississippi is definitely a pitcher's park. So that is the case.
Yeah, like you said, it's a bigger ballpark.
It's a bigger ballpark, and he's still developing. He's got a lot of power. It sounds great off the bat. You're going to see some of those doubles and triples turn into home runs as he gets older, as he fills out a little bit more, and as he gets into a more normal ballpark. So,
yeah, he's still very young.
He is. He's, I believe, 21.
20, that's what I was going to say. He's 21, I believe.
So,
and not everybody can be Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna Jr. Yeah. So when people compare Michael Harris to, and I know you weren't comparing him. That's not what I'm saying. I know. But there are people who do, who say, oh, well, what about Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna? Well, those guys are going to be Hall of Famers one day. So
yeah, at their pace, they're going to be Hall of Famers. So
yeah. So I mean, if we're going to compare Michael Harris to those guys, I think first off, that's unfair to Michael Harris because, and I've seen people compare Michael Harris realistically. A comparison that I've seen is, and a lot of Braves fans are going to hate this, but that's okay. Nick Markakis.
That dude, I was actually going to make that comparison today.
Yeah. So I've seen that comparison.
I've been looking at it. I told someone, I got a comparison, but I don't know how I feel about it because if I'm wrong, people are going to crucify me for it.
And they will probably. We'll probably hear something about it. But
I love that comparison. It popped in my head, and I think it's a beautiful comparison. That is, I can see prime Baltimore Oriole Nick Markakis in this bat. I really do.
And why would anybody ever complain about that? And Harris may develop more power than Markakis did. Still, Markakis never really was a guy who tried to hit homers. He just never was.
Nicky Two Bags.
Yeah, he had to name Nicky Two Bags for a reason. So it's like,
I'm fine with calling him Mikey Two Bags in Atlanta.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. Hey, 2 bags are better than 1. So if he's going out there getting doubles all the time, man, I'm not going to complain about that at all. Especially if he's got, Ronald Acuna and whoever else, Austin Riley, Matt Olson. Like, there's plenty of power in this Braves lineup long term.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think too often, and I do it too. I preach to the choir here a lot of times when I say things here. We too often see a guy with that number 1 prospect ranking or a top 30 prospect in all baseball, and we think, oh, it's a superstar. And that's not always the case. If your top prospect turns into a good everyday baseball player, you've got a good player. And that's exactly what you want. You want those Ronald Acuñas, of course, and those Austin Rileys. But if they become a Nick Markakis, or even, I know Adam Duvall's down this year, but an Adam Duvall type career for a few years, that's a pretty good prospect. Now, we want Harris to be more than that, but prospect growth's not linear. Sometimes I've seen people, he's going to be a number 1, 2 hitter for years. I see him as like a 5'7" guy, for a while in Atlanta, especially with the guys they've already got.
Like you said, a lot of people may rake us over the coals over a Nick Markakis comparison. But if you look at the development that Michael Harris is going through and, how the bat is starting to look, he doesn't look, and no offense to Michael, because Michael took exception with something I said on Twitter about him not being ready to come to the majors. So just in case Michael Harris sees this, I'm not saying that Michael Harris is not going to be a good baseball player. I think he's going to be a great baseball player at the major league level. I just don't want him to be rushed. But he's not developing the power the same way that a Ronald Acuna did.
Yeah.
And again, it would be unfair to expect him to do that. But Chipper Jones had to say it. He's a left-handed Ronald Acuna, so now everybody expects him to come up here and have the top 2 hitters hit 50 home runs. And then, no, if Michael Harris can come up here and be prime early career Baltimore Orioles Nick Markakis,
I'm perfectly fine with that. I would love it.
And if anybody said they're not, they're insane, because Nick Markakis was great with the Orioles.
Yeah, was he a superstar? No,
but he was a steady, great baseball player.
I mean, 2008 Nick Markakis hit 48 doubles. So if he goes to come out there and hit 40, even with the Braves, I mean, the power had dropped off. He wasn't giving you 20 home runs; he was giving you mid-teens home runs. But Markakis was still hitting. I'm looking at it now. 2015, 38 doubles. 16, 38 doubles. 2017, 39 doubles. 2018, 43 doubles.
Yeah, dude, the dude was a doubles machine.
Yeah, the home runs.
He's got 500 doubles. You don't get 500 doubles by accident.
Yeah, you're right. And I Harris. I want to say it too. I'm not trying to. I'm just a nerd on Twitter who also talks with the prospects.
We're baseball nerds. That's it.
I'm just a nerd who loves the game. I love Michael Harris. Me and you talked about it, and I think you see a lot of people, he's ready for the majors. He's ready for the majors. He might be. There's 2 things that I think will stop that. One, Drew Waters, already on the 40-man. Yep. Probably not going to jump him. especially if he's playing the way he is. We'll get to Drew Waters.
Yeah.
And then 2, I think it really is going to tell us what the Braves think of, or not what they think of Michael Harris, but what their ETA is for Michael Harris by when he gets to Gwinnett. I think an easy solution would be when Waters finally reaches the majors, Harris just takes his place in Gwinnett.
Yeah.
But Harris might be forcing the issue here with how he's playing a little bit.
He is.
Now, they could use the lefty on lefty splits to keep him down a little longer. But if Harris makes it to AAA by June, July of this year, he's a serious threat for opening day 2023. But if they keep him down to August, September, they're probably not going to give him opening day 2023 unless he destroys it in spring training. Excuse me.
If they are seriously considering him being the opening day center fielder, because clearly everybody knows, or if you don't know, it looks like his projection is to be the Braves center fielder of the future.
Mm-hmm.
I would say he's got the glove for it. He's got the speed for it.
And of course, Duvey is on his last year.
Duvey's retiring this year. Now, Adam Duvall has been a great center fielder.
He might sign another. He can probably give him a 1-year deal if he wanted to. Duvall,
I don't know, man.
There is a shot that with his defense he's playing, if he can get hot, there might be a rebuilding team out there that would give him, a little bit more.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
But at the same time, with him coming off contract, if Harris looks good to go by middle of 2023, it becomes a lot easier to move on from Duvall. And I love Duvall. Everybody that, if you follow me on Twitter, I love Adam Duvall.
Oh, yeah. Adam Duvall's amazing. He is, at this point, he's a Braves legend. It's only a couple years, but he's had huge moments for the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Postseason moments, all of it.
And I know we're getting off the prospect list here, but Duvall deserves it.
We're kind of still in the same because area.
He deserves it. He deserves it, though. We talk about Rosario's NLCS performance. We talk about Jocktober. We talk about Solaire's home run. And Duvall hit a grand slam in the World Series.
Oh, man, that would be so legendary, too.
I was at the Battery. It was so fun. It was the loudest sports moment of my life.
I could not imagine, dude.
I remember he hit the home run, and there was 2 outs. I don't remember Travis d'Arnaud's AB. We were still celebrating. I looked back up after we were celebrating, and we were pitching again. So it was that loud for that long. But Duvall's, and it's never appreciated as much because it's not as flashy, but Duvall's defense, stepping into center field.
Dude, it's huge.
He had never really been a full-time center fielder, at least not in the past few years. Stepped into center field and played it admirably, above average, excellent defense. And that's a big part of not only the postseason run, but the end of season run, him stepping in after the injury to Acuna, kind of stabilizing that outfield defense. That's going to be something that
stabilizing that outfield defense
never is going to be talked about as much, and rightfully so, because Jorge Soler hit a ball out of a stadium. But without Duvall, that's a big thing.
We don't make it to the postseason without Adam Duvall.
No. And
he was the second half MVP. If Jock was the NLDS MVP, Rosario was the NLCS MVP, Soler was the World Series MVP, Adam Duvall 100% was the second half MVP.
At least in terms of, maybe not the stats as much stat-wise, but just the importance, because you could argue Austin Riley stat-wise probably deserves it, but the importance there, Adam Duvall.
Yeah.
Without Adam
Duvall was crushing baseballs in the second half.
We love Guillermo Heredia and Abraham Almonte for what they did, but Duvall, Duvall saved a lot of the season with his defense, his stepping up defensively. And so it might be his last year with the Braves. Sad moment, Braves legend, but that gives Michael Harris that opportunity to step into center field at least summer of 2023. That would be the latest.
I think at the latest, that's when he's coming up. Is because, like you said, if we move him up June, July, now the Braves might be personally hoping, or internally hoping that, hey, we move him up to AAA, maybe he struggles a little bit, right? And then that gives them reasoning to push back his debut. And then that could potentially give them another year of control. I hate to talk about it like that, but that's the reality of the situation. And prospects are, like you said, they're so volatile.
Yeah, we talk about prospect growth is not linear. got to give guys time. Not everybody makes it to the majors and starts hitting. Some guys
No.
never hit. Ronald Acuna, Juan Soto exceptions. They started hitting. Austin Riley took 2 years before he became decent.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a good shot that Harris gets to the major leagues and he cannot hit for a few months. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes up and tears the cover off.
Yeah, but at the same time, well, actually, I won't say that. I was going to say at the same time he's never faced major league pitching, but he kind of has at the
alternate site.
At the alternate site.
In 2020, yeah.
And clearly that had such a huge impact on Michael Harris.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's just making minor league pitching look honestly horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's some good minor league pitchers that like their numbers are inflated because they ran into Michael Harris right now.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing too. You mentioned it too. The Braves might be kind of like, it's not a bad situation to be in to have a prospect forcing your hand. Of course, you might want that extra year control, but you're never going to complain about a prospect coming in there and forcing your hand.
Right. And there's not like a huge, how do I say this? There's not a huge demand at center field next year because they could just at the beginning of the season, they could be like, oh, well, we're going with Acuna in center field. And then Ronald could play center. They could bring up Waters to play right field. Because, I mean, let's be real. Waters is going to be there either this year or next year.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make his major league debut. And he's not going to play left field unless Michael Harris is there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that might put Ozuna in left field a little bit more than we want.
You still got Rosario hanging around.
Yeah,
there,
we do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think we'll see too much Ozuna in the outfield by 2023. The Acuna rules might be done by then. I appreciate them being safe with him, but I would imagine by 2023, the Acuna rules are
now
probably a little lax.
Him having the groin discomfort and stuff that really concerned a lot of people because there was reports that it was his knee and all this stuff, and all of that turned out to not be true. So, Michael Harris, man, he's gonna be a stud. He's already a stud.
Yeah,
but I just wish people would understand that.
Patience sometimes.
Patience is a virtue in these situations, and the progression through the minor leagues, there isn't 4 levels for no reason. There's 4 levels because they want you to perform at each level and move up in those levels. Bringing him up now could potentially hurt him in the long run. I mean, we look at Dansby Swanson for one. And I think Dansby's a good ball player. He
have that number 1 prospect tag that.
Yeah. And he could have probably benefited from playing at AAA for a while. So it is what it is. So we'll just say that. And we'll see, like you said, if he's up AAA in June or July, could be a real possibility that opening day he's running center field next year.
Yeah, I think, like I said, midsummer 2023 at the latest at this point, barring something happening. But could he make it this year? He might. He could.
I mean, if Duvall continues to struggle, and they're like, man, what do we do? And they find themselves back in the race. Now, if we fall off, if we continue to fall, and Duvall's playing bad, I don't think that becomes a priority. But if we're up there and we're in contention, say we pull within 3 games in the next month or so,
I still think Waters becomes that first option, but
I think so too. But then again, you never know.
We're not privy to what Alex Anthopoulos thinks, and I appreciate that as well.
Alex Anthopoulos was at Mississippi last night, or he was watching Mississippi last night in Chattanooga.
So, we're not privy to everything. Listen, if Michael Harris gets called up next week, I'm excited. I'm having fun.
Oh,
I get to watch Michael Harris. I'm not saying don't call him up. We're just kind of guessing on what we know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the only thing we can do is guess on what we do know. And Alex Anthopoulos has done things before that we were like, what? Matt Olson being one of them. We were like, whoa, okay.
There you go.
So anyways.
I guess it's time to move into the Mississippi Brave portion.
Yeah. So the only person I had at Mississippi was Michael Harris because I knew it would be long.
Yeah. We can run through a few names. I got them listed in the order they're ranked on MLB. Freddie Tarnok, I'm still waving the flag. His numbers, you know, and here's the thing. People look at the numbers. I'm going to break it down a little bit. 4.43 ERA, 4.27 FIP, 5.57 xFIP, 1.38 WHIP, 25% strikeout rate, 12% walk rate. It looks bad. I looked at it a little more. He's given up 10 runs this year. 2 bad starts, 6 innings, 6.1 innings, 7 runs, 14 innings, 3 runs. So it's a tale of 2 Freddie Tarnoks. And unfortunately, bad starts inflate your ERA a lot more than good starts do. So,
I mean, look at, and now it's not as extreme of an example there, but Kyle Wright, 2 days ago, he gave up 6 runs.
Yeah. And sometimes we look at the big picture and you don't break it down enough.
Yeah. His ERA doubled. I mean, it was only like 1.5 at the time. So, I mean, it's not like he went out there and, just it went up to a 5 ERA, like you said, but it doubled to over 3. So 7 runs in 6 innings, that can really impact your ERA.
It's one of those things that you got to kind of get to take an eye on, look at it a little deeper. Yeah, on the surface, it doesn't look good, but when you look at it, it's really just 2 bad outings. And now that means he only has 3 good outings as well, but it doesn't tell the whole picture. And he's still in AA. I still like Tarnok. I'll die on that hill if I have to.
I'm with you, but it sounded like what you were saying was really only 1 bad start. I mean,
yeah, well, it was
3 runs in the other 14. Oh, it was 2 outings.
2 outings of 6 innings. It was two bad. One was like 2 2/3 innings, I think. Maybe it was like 4 runs. I can't remember exactly, but I broke it down. 2 starts, 6 innings, 7, and then there was 3 starts, 3 outings, 14 innings.
I hear 6.1 innings pitched,
yeah, it sounds
and my mind immediately goes to that's
in
1
minor
start.
leagues, they don't push him as far.
No, and like I said, the more piggybacking and stuff going on down there. Still, 2 bad outings is not anything to complain about.
Yeah.
I still believe in Freddie Tarnok.
Just got to keep an eye on him, see where he goes. The one guy that has him, he's probably had the best, outside of Michael Harris, the best minor league season so far, in my opinion, and that's Jared Schuster. And
he's
not only because of his numbers, but because he silenced a lot of critics that were worried about his injuries. A 1.53 ERA, 0.74 WHIP. He's only walked 7 guys all year, and approximately about a 30% strikeout rate.
How many?
Everything
innings?
you could ask for.
Do you know how many innings?
I didn't write it down for some reason. I'll look it up real quick. But 7 walks in his outings. He has a complete game, I believe. It was a rain short complete game, but he has a complete game.
I was about to say, what?
No, it was a
that does not happen in the minor
35.1 innings. So he's only walked 7 guys in 35 innings.
Wow.
And he has 38 strikeouts, so over 1 per inning. 29% strikeout rate now, so I was a little off there, but 4.6% walk rate. He's silenced pretty much any critic that was worried about his injuries, and that's really impressive.
And that's at AA. That's not at
That's when you're starting to face guys
you're starting to face guys that could potentially be Major League Baseball players.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna stick with a few pitchers before I get to the couple hitters here. Darius Vines, 4.6 ERA, 4.64 FIP, 4.63 xFIP, 28% strikeout rate, 8.8% walk rate.
He had a big game the other day, didn't he?
He did, but I was going to point out first a bad start that has inflated his numbers. He had 3.2 innings, 7 runs. So 7 of his 15 runs all year, this one outing. You take that out, 2.86 innings. Yeah, 3.2. If you take out that outing, it's a 2.86 ERA. And then his last 2 starts, before I get to the good one, the first 2, he goes 5 innings, 1 run. He walked 4, struck out 4. But then the last one, 6.1 innings, 3 runs, no walks, 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, I saw the 11 Ks and no walks, and I was
so like, one bad outing has inflated his numbers.
Pretty good.
I dug into it. That's something to keep an eye on as well. Indigo Diaz, 5.4 ERA and 11.2 innings. Looks bad. I know. He gave up 2 runs last night. I believe it might have been a walk-off home run in extras. And then, but if you take out that game, and then his first game, he only got 1 out. So 0.1 innings, a third of an inning, gave up 3 runs. You take that out, 2 runs in the other 10 2/3 innings.
Yeah, and that's not bad at all.
Striking out over 30% of the guys. Biggest issue is walking a lot. But when you look at it, especially relievers. One bad outing for a reliever really kills your ERA.
Oh yeah, and like you said, one of them might have been a walk-off homer. Walk-off
I think it
homers
was last
hurt
night
your
was a
ERA
walk-off homer.
pretty bad too, because you don't have a chance to get the next guys out after that. The game is over. So you don't have a chance to save that ERA a little bit.
Yeah, so like 2 outings, he's given up like 5 runs in like 1 inning, and then the other 2 runs were over 10 2/3. So I mean, that's still impressive. It's one of those things you cannot overreact to 1 outing. Now it's not good ERA, but I was worried when I looked at it originally, dug into it more. Hey, actually not that bad.
Yeah, that doesn't sound bad at all. And that's where people do get a little bit too hard on some of these guys. And that's why prospects are so hard to evaluate for us, because we can look at, the overall stat line. But like you said, you dig into the underlying stuff and what has actually happened. And you've got a couple bad outings that really, and the biggest problem is people go to ERA, and ERA is such a fluky stat for one. ERA is based on sure, your pitches, fine. But also, if you've got a terrible outfield,
you got Marcell Ozuna running down balls.
Now, of course, they do have Michael Harris running around the outfield out there. So, there's
another pitcher, the Allen Rangel, same situation here. 5.94 ERA, 4.8 FIP, 4.56 FSIP, very high WHIP, 1.56, striking out over 30%, walking too many guys, 12%. You break it down, 1 bad outing, 2 2/3 innings, 6 runs.
Oh my God.
The other 14 innings.
Oh, at 2 2/3. I thought you said 2/3 of an inning, 6 runs. I was like,
2 2/3.
That's rough.
Not as bad, but still bad.
Still, that's not a great outing by any means.
The other 14 innings, only 5 runs, a 3.21 ERA. So
yeah, and that's nothing to complain about at all.
Yeah. So it's just some of these guys, it's 1 bad outing. How are they bouncing back from that one bad outing? So,
and really, that's what you want to see is how these guys respond when they're faced with, especially once they get to AA. I've heard a lot of the talk about Michael Harris and his mental makeup. That there was a report from somewhere in, I guess it was in Mississippi. It was just like a local news station doing a report on Michael Harris. And did you see that?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I retweeted it the other day. I'll have to find it and tag you in it. But basically that's what they were talking about, was how mentally tough Michael Harris is and how he just comes to the ballpark every day and like he just plays baseball and he doesn't worry about like, oh, if things go wrong, like whatever. And that's what you want to see, especially in pitching prospects.
Yeah.
You want to see how they respond, because that's potentially at that level more important than they gave up 1 bad outing.
Hey, there was a guy, I don't remember his name, I'd have to find it. I don't think he ever made it to the majors. He might still be a minor league pitcher, but he tweeted something the other day. He had a bad outing in front of the scouts, and like when he was in high school or college, had a bad outing for the scouts, was worried. He just kept pitching though, pitched well. The scout said, hey, we actually kind of like seeing guys perform bad because we like to see how they perform or how they respond, how they act when it's not going well. And he said that same team drafted him a month later.
Yeah, because Mike Fultonevich probably never would have been drafted had they seen how he reacted after he pitched bad.
But sometimes it's that mental makeup. It's intangibles. I'm a numbers nerd. I'm an analytics StatCast guy, but I understand there's intangibles. You got to have the right mental makeup for it. And some guys have that it factor.
It's something that you can't quantify with stats, and that's why we don't discuss it with stats. It's because it's not part of the stats. Yeah. And that's why people get so frustrated with people like us who are like, oh, you nerd. No, it's just like these are the actual numbers that he's putting up. This is what we can actually talk about statistically. But if you want to have a conversation about his mental makeup, we can do that too.
It's why I was never worried when that week of Matt Olson where he just couldn't get a hit.
Yeah.
I never once looked at Matt Olson and said, man, he looks like he's pressing. Like, could I tell he's a little frustrated? Yeah, but I never once looked at him and said, man, I think this guy's pressing because of a bad week. And now I look at it.
I had one moment, and ironically, it was last night. I had one moment. It was early in the game. It was his first at bat. He struck out on 3 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that at bat and I was just like, man, like he just looks like he's kind of lost right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 hits after that. And I was like,
yeah,
he's fine.
That's what I'm saying. Like it just never looks like it bothers
okay.
him than more than the initial moment. And, you know, it's okay to be upset in the moment when you strike out or, you know, hit a line out, but the next AB, it's over.
Yeah. And so that double he hit that should have been gone for sure. That at bat was pretty impressive because he got 3 fastballs in that at bat. He missed the first 2. I mean, over the plate, missed him, just swung right through him.
Mm-hmm.
Did not miss that 3rd one. And I mean, he put a hell of a swing on that ball.
Yeah.
And so that's what you want to see.
I don't think it bothers him more than in the moment. And I love to see that from players. You know, jumping back to the prospects, one last pitcher, Victor Vodnik, reliever. Kind of deal with some injuries, no runs in 5 2/3 innings, very small sample size, but ideal start. Hitting wise, Jesse Franklin's kind of hit that AA wall. Not playing bad by any means. 236, 333, 400. That's kind of what you would think from Jesse. You'd want a little more power. 2 home runs, 6 runs, 9 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. And it could be just a Mississippi ballpark. It is a big ballpark. He's a home run type of hitter, power hitter. But he's kind of hit that AA wall. Want to see what he does to adjust. Want to see if he's got that middle makeup.
Well, I'll say one thing that just did, like, you know, you read that stat line off, and like you said, it's not phenomenal. But one thing that sticks out to me there, on base percentage. He's still getting on base at a decent clip. So
that's, if you're struggling, but you're still finding a way to get on base, it shows kind of a mature hitter.
Yeah.
And that's very, very good.
That's important. Yeah. So
Luke Waddell, 309, 405, 457, 2 home runs, 11 runs, 20 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, good defense. And that's really important for Luke Waddell. Big name here that I want to mention, big name, big guy, not on top 30 prospect list. And he's kind of like Joey Gallo light in a way. 224, 341, 505 for Drew Lugbauer.
Slugbauer.
8 home runs, 22 runs, 16 RBIs. A real hot start. He's kind of slowed down, but with that power, you know, maybe he gets to AAA. I don't know if there's ever a spot for him in Atlanta, but he could become an intriguing like 3rd trade piece with that powerful left-handed bat.
Yeah, he could be a guy if you want to pull off a big trade.
He could be that interesting 3rd or 4th guy.
Yeah,
that kind of excites people.
They're like, well, he's got a lot of power. Maybe he could be
that add-on piece, you know.
Yeah.
So I like Lugbauer a lot. Trey Harris has not played well, unfortunately. He looks like he's that AA wall's got him. 203, 294, 305, 2 home runs, 8 runs, 7 RBIs. It just looks like he's just not figuring it out.
Which sucks because he's a really great guy. Everything I've seen from him seems like he's a great dude.
Another guy, Justin Dean, has actually dropped back down to AA. I like Justin Dean, but they've moved him back maybe for more playing time. In AAA, I'll mention his AAA stats. He was hitting 204, 254, 255, 241, no home runs.
Yeah, it wasn't
but couldn't hit. So they brought him back to AA. Brought him back to AA. So I'll mention him now. And then just 2 pitchers. Don't have to talk about him a lot. Just keep an eye on him. Hayden Deal, mostly extended relief, 0.96 ERA, 1.02 WHIP. And then Tyler Ferguson, 1.46 ERA, 1.22 WHIP. Just extended relief outings, like 10, 15, 20 innings. But good starts for them.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to do some diving into those names too. AAA is interesting. There's not a lot there that, you know, is, I mean, prospect wise, like you said, there's a lot of those journeyman guys hanging out down there.
The depth that in case you need something,
right?
You keep it there. You still got your top prospects.
Drew Waters is there.
He just came back, so it's an interesting stat line. Waters is not a huge walker in general, but he hasn't walked yet. So, but 333. It's
only 5 games.
Yeah, 333, 333, 583. 2 home runs, one of them last night to lead off the game, I think on the first pitch. So 4 runs, 4 RBIs, good defense so far. and off a good spring, he is doing what you want him to do to maybe find his way to Atlanta.
Yeah, I've kind of the outlook that I have gone with Drew Waters is looking at how he started in spring, which was great. And then unfortunately a hamstring got him. And then how he has started in the minor leagues, because there's not a ton there, but if you compile all that together, you're talking about counting, his rehab assignment and his time at spring training, he's got 4 home runs. So, and it's not in a lot of at bats.
Mm-hmm.
So the power's coming around, and he did hit 11 homers last year. So power was there last year for Drew. The big thing is the strikeout rate. Right now, it's sitting around 30.
Yeah,
it's 33% or something like that.
And it's hard to really trust some of these stats because, like you said, very small sample.
Very small sample size.
Strikeout rate has been an issue for Drew, and that's going to be the issue that's going to be the roadblock when he gets to the majors. He can't strike out 35-40% of the time.
No, that's
been the issue with him.
That's not going to having a 30% strikeout rate in the minor leagues or at AAA is not going to translate well to the major leagues, and that's where the concern comes in with Drew Waters.
Yeah,
but he's hit a home run from both sides of the plate. I will say that real quick.
I mean, in short sample though, when he's making contact, it's going a long way, and it sounds good.
Yeah, so his batting average on balls in play looks really high, but when you're hitting home runs, it's going to be high.
Yeah.
So,
but I think he's got to be in the majors at some point this year. I think honestly, if he didn't get the hamstring injury, we'd probably get the legend of Travis Demerit. So,
yeah, I mean,
get Drew Waters.
Hey, Travis Demerit's been awesome.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed watching Travis Demerit. It's been fun.
I have too. So, but Waters, I think, has got to be here middle of the summer, probably
at some point. Yeah, and there will be another injury.
This is an unfortunate part of the game.
I mean, Acuna has a groin injury right now. If they have to put Acuna on the IL, there's a possibility Drew Waters is the guy.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Who else are you really looking at AAA?
Braden Shoemake.
Oh, Shoemake. I didn't even think about that.
322, 378, 467, 2 bombs, 15 runs, 5 RBIs, 4 stolen bases. Great defense. Yeah. And we talked about Dansby. Dansby playing well, but if Dansby wants to get paid this offseason, it makes Braden Shoemake is making it a lot easier to say, we can't afford you.
Yeah. So making it a lot easier and plus we've got Vaughn Grissom down in lower levels. Maybe he does continue that, that progression that I talk about. And otherwise though, Braden Shoemake doing it at AAA is an interesting development because it does, like you said, it almost makes the Dansby Swanson situation like, oh, well, we don't have to go out and trade for a Matt Olson to replace him.
Yeah.
If we've got this guy, I mean, and let's be fair. Sure, Dansby Swanson currently leads the team in F4. Does anybody believe that will last? Probably not.
He's the most interesting player. Man, he's going to carry the team for a month, and then he's going to be a AA player in the majors.
I don't understand it, but
it's wild.
Seeing what Shoemake is doing is pretty great.
Yeah.
And hopefully it develops into, like you said, hopefully it continues. I'll say that. And then we can, at the end of the season say, hey, Dansby, it was nice.
Yeah.
Glad you got to play at home for a few years. Now go play in LA or something. Yeah. So, and then, there's Kyle Muller. Kyle Muller has a lot of control issues.
Yeah, it's striking out a lot of guys, walking too many guys still.
Yeah.
That's Muller's issue.
Which sucks, man, because Kyle Muller is awesome.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to root for that guy.
Yeah. And same thing for Tucker's had a kind of a rough go in AAA, but I think it was one bad outing. Last night pitched really well. 5 innings, only 1 run, struck out 6, no walks. Looks good. Bryce Elder pitched on May 5th. I haven't seen another stat from him since then, but he pitched May 5th, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. One walk.
Was Bryce Elder.
Yeah.
1 walk, but he came to the major leagues and was walking everybody. So, I don't understand that.
So, but the pitching's, I mean, looking fine. They're ready if they need to be, for that Gwinnett shuttle, excuse me. So,
Well, yeah, outside of that, man,
Unless you want to talk about, I mean, just quickly, Spencer Strider, number 2 prospect.
yeah, let's
looking
talk
good
about
in the majors.
Spencer for about a minute or two. Yeah.
Look good in the majors. 2.16 ERA, 1.84 FIP. A 36.4% strikeout rate, top 5% in baseball. Walks a little too much at 13.6%. Underlying metrics: 211 XBA, 391 X slug, 312 X WOBA, and 435 X WOBAcon.
Yeah,
So a little mixed bag, but doing well. The issue is he only throws 2 pitches and really only
the
throws
biggest
1.
thing that impressed me with Strider, that game against Milwaukee.
I was there.
Oh, you were at that game. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were. That was the
fun.
first. That was Ronald Acuna's first homer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The biggest thing that impressed me in that game, no walks, because walks had been an issue for him previously, and then he came in through 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, career high 8 strikeouts
innings, and didn't walk anybody. And I was like, maybe there is.
I mean,
potential.
He's probably the 5th starter, maybe with
rotation.
An opener.
That's
right
what I
now.
meant. Yeah.
But
clearly he's going to be a major league player. But I mean,
the fastball is a major league pitch.
Option.
Now he's pitching like a reliever still. When you look at his arsenal, throws the fastball 69% of the time.
Fastball slider combo, yeah.
Yeah, nice fastball usage there. Slider 27.4%, and he's thrown a changeup 9 times this year. So he has a changeup, but it's a show me. He's going to probably need that to be used more if he wants to be a starter.
Yeah.
But that is the issue, is him getting a consistent 3rd pitch if he wants to stick as a starter. But the fastball slider combo works as a reliever right now. So
yeah. And what he's showing has been awesome. It's been fun to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He's a character in in every way.
Daddy Stash.
Yeah, he's awesome. And when Paul Bird had his little conversation with him last night, I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
But it was pretty good. But he didn't sound anything like I expected him to sound like. And I was like, whoa, it's just because you see the stash and everything, you think he's going to have a big, deep voice. He does not have a big, deep voice. He sounds like a super nice, just chill little guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, man, I think we've pretty much nailed everything when it comes to prospects and stuff for right now. Hopefully some of these trends, especially the Michael Harris trend, hopefully that continues, and we'll see where that's kind of going next month, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, all right, man. Well, I guess we'll see you guys next month on the Bee Hive.
Yeah, thanks, guys.